Hey, guess what? We're back. It is 2:20 in the afternoon here Central Time, and I feel like it is time for a cocktail. But the good news is, and hopefully you guys start tuning in again for viewers on Facebook. I would love to see our comments flowing. I know we had to stop the conversation and start again, but we have Carmen and the doctor here. They are ready to talk to all of you, and this conversation I know is going to be very helpful, super informative, definitely inspiring, and it is really, really important for all of us to get this message right now. So I'm going to get started. I know you guys will join in. I think because of the glitch, it's a slow start for people to find us, but that's okay. We're going to be all set in just a few minutes. So I'm bringing in the amazing Carmen Lerma into stream here. And I am just so happy to see you. Miss Carmen, how are you today?
I am doing really good. Thank you for having me. It's been great. It's been great.
Good, and I appreciate you working through the struggles of the technical glitches. I know that's never fun, but I know we had to postpone from last week because you had some follow-up appointments, and I hear that things are going well. Are you feeling good?
I'm feeling good. My surgery took place October 21st, and I went through the process, the whole thing. I'm now home, which is really awesome. They let me out the day after I did 4 months, so
Right.
it was a long process, but doing really good right now.
Good, good. And we're going to get into a lot of your journey. I also want to just make sure that as we're talking today, like our conversation for people that are watching, this has nothing to do with personal opinions or politics or whatever. So we're going to avoid all of the negative comments and make no comments in the stream that have anything to do except for uplifting and joy and support of Carmen and all of our community friends who are going through difficult times. So I want to give a big shout out to Mario as well. Mario has been a huge help, I know to you, but he has been to me also.
Oh, he's great. He's been by my side from day one, making sure that everything is done and taken care of and following up on things that I would normally do. So I appreciate him a lot.
Yeah, so great. He was a big help for this broadcast too. Now, Carmen, just kind of personally, I don't really know, but did you grow up in Milwaukee?
No, well, I was born in Puerto Rico and we moved here when I was 9 years old. So technically, yeah, I grew up here in Milwaukee pretty much.
Nice, nice. And another Carmen, a friend of yours, said something about you, Carmen, that I think is important for viewers to know. She said, Carmen is an icon in the community as far as community leadership, involvement, and just motivating the Latino community. And that really is where your passion lies, isn't it?
That's correct. That is correct. I'm very involved not only with all of my events in the organization that I work with, but very involved with the Puerto Rican community, the Mexican community, the Hmong. It doesn't matter if I'm needed, I'm there, and I do it with passion, just because that's what I really, really like to do. Oh yeah, that's right. She's awesome. Carmen is awesome.
Oh, good, good.
She served as one of those motivating when I was giving up. She would text me and say, no way, you can't do that. So she's very special to me.
Oh, good. That's so great to have those friends. Very important. Now, when you typically are working at UMOS, correct? Which is the United Migrant Opportunity Services. Tell us a little bit about what you do there.
Sure. So UMOS is a nonprofit organization, and we run over 40 different programs from workforce development down to childcare, right? My goal is, or my responsibility is multi-hat. In addition to being the director for corporate and community events, I also assist the CEO and the VPs. So it's very hectic, very stressful, but I've been there for 10 years now, and I love what I do with them.
Wow, that's so great. And I know that at this time of year, you would normally be getting ready for your holiday event, which this is
That's
a picture
right.
of from a few years ago, I think.
Right. And we do it every year. That's the Breakfast with Santa. I started out with probably about 200 and something kids. We're up to 3,000 kids. And what I do is that I, get all the events. I get sponsors. I get toys. So they get to have a hot meal, a toy, and a photo with Santa and enjoy entertainment. And that takes place in 3 hours. So
Wow.
it's a great event, very well attended. My goal is to reach out to as many kids as possible in the community at no cost to them. So,
Wow, that's so great.
thank you.
And I'm sure that you are super anxious to get back to doing what you love when the time is right. And I know
That's right.
that the community is ready to welcome you with open arms for sure. And
Yes.
Carmen, before we go on, I think there might just be, and I don't know if our Facebook audience is hearing it or not, but you might want to just turn your volume down a little bit.
Okay.
Because I think there's some bounce back of
Okay,
me.
let me know if that sounds better.
Yeah.
Does it
Yeah.
sound
And
better?
I think that sounds a little better. Yep.
Okay.
Thank you. So here's where we're going to get into our conversation about the pandemic and COVID. And I just wanted to give our audience a little bit of an update in terms of where we are right now. And this is as of yesterday, December 1st. You can get a glimpse here, but basically, as we stand right now, as of yesterday, there were over 4,000 new confirmed COVID-19 cases in Wisconsin.
Mm-hmm.
Currently, there are 68,400 plus active cases in the state of Wisconsin. And as many of us have heard, which is not good news, yesterday, 107 new coronavirus deaths were reported. And Carmen, this was a single day record in the state of Wisconsin.
And it's
the
really
other thing,
sad. Go ahead.
I was just going to also show people that we did also, this was just literally me watching TV this morning. I took a screenshot of my TV because I was stopped in my tracks when I saw this. In the nation, there were 2,597 deaths. This is the second deadliest day of the pandemic. This was yesterday, December 1st. And they did also say in some reports that at the beginning of the pandemic, COVID-19 was most prevalent in urban areas like Milwaukee. Now, nearly all counties are seeing more than 350 cases per 100,000 residents over the past 2 weeks, which DHS says is very high case activity. A massive surge in cases in Northeast Wisconsin starting in September has led to hospitals being overwhelmed.
Yes, that's all true.
So that's where we are as of today. And I wanted to lay that groundwork before our conversation. So your diagnosis, Carmen, you got a call from the state health department telling you that you've been exposed to someone who tested positive for COVID-19.
That's correct.
Do you have an idea of when that contact happened and where you might have been?
So the only place that I could think of that I was not wearing a mask the entire time was at a restaurant. And I happen to know a lot of people that goes to that restaurant that will come up to me, but the Department of Health, due to confidentiality, they won't say who it was. They did call me and say, you need to go ahead and, and just like get tested. And this is right before my birthday. So July 8th, that's when they called me. I went in to get tested. And by the time the 13th came around, I knew I had it because I had lost my taste. My breathing was a little shallow and the fever would not go down at all. I did stuck around just to see if things would get worse or better. But on the 16th of July, I got up to go to the restroom and I passed out. And I ended up in the ICU for 45 days. And it was really rough, but
And you said at the time when you passed out on that July 16th date that you only had 31% of the blood oxygen level.
That's
and the
correct.
normal range is 80 to 100%.
So the doctor said I was really lucky because that could have been me being brain dead or in a coma. I was lucky. I always said that I had a little guardian angel watching out for me, but yeah, it was an experience.
Wow.
I didn't know what to do. I don't remember anything from when I fell to by the time I got to the hospital. I remember that vaguely that the paramedics kept talking to me. But when I woke up, I was in ICU with a machine and all kinds of stuff, all kinds of cords.
Wow.
As you can see, that was 100% oxygen on me. I could not breathe without it.
Wow.
You can't see it now because I cover it, but I have blisters pretty much all over my face from that machine.
Wow. Wow. Now, did you also experience double pneumonia at some point during this period of time?
That was one of the things that happened. I as soon as I got the virus, it was double pneumonia. In addition to my immune system was low because I was dealing with a kidney infection. So the virus attacked both ways, and that's I think what made it so much worse for me to deal with it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now, your first stop on your journey of getting taken care of for COVID was at Ascension St. Francis. Is that correct?
That is correct. I was there pretty much almost 2.5, 3 months between ICU to the pulmonology or the respiratory department, because they sent me up to one of the 5th floor so that I can exercise and try to get my lungs to kind of function in therapy. And unfortunately, I wasn't that lucky. It wasn't working at all because my lungs, and I, you'll learn a little bit more about that. They caught fibrosis is how you say it. So your lungs don't expand how they're supposed to. And I never forget we will make you comfortable, but there's not much we can do unless you have a transplant. That was a really rough day for me to hear that, but I'd rather hear that on time and try to work something out than not know.
And one of the things that I know we'll be talking about throughout this conversation is that this happens when you're alone. And that is one of the hardest parts of patients that are in the hospital being taken care of for COVID, is that obviously no one can be with you. Nobody can visit you. Nobody can be there to hold your hand except for these amazing frontline workers.
That's right.
And I can only imagine when that news came to you, how were you feeling?
I've always been a very positive person and very, I meditate a lot. I pray a lot. And I remember just hearing those words from the doctor. And my first thought is, how am I going to tell my family this? Because I know it's difficult to come across transplants and organs. How long would it take for me to even get into that list? But you said it. I mean, the nurses, the doctors, from the ICU all the way to the respiratory team, amazing. Not once did they left me behind. They were always there, and they did everything they could for me. They really did. But It's been an amazing road, and I have a long road ahead of me right now. But I was blessed at this point.
Yeah, blessed indeed. And we're going to talk about the road ahead. But first, I do want to bring into our conversation one of your fantastic doctors. Dr. Ludmill Lazarov is joining us today, and I'm going to bring him into the stream so we can get a little bit of an update about how things are going and his role. Doctor, how are you?
I'm very well. Can you hear me?
I can. Thank you again for joining us. Yes, I can hear you, and you can hear us?
I can hear you very well.
Perfect, perfect. Thank you for your patience. And I'm so glad you could join the conversation with Carmen here. And I don't know, have you guys seen each other since she left the hospital?
This is the first time, but we text and we communicate. He actually was pretty much the one that delivered my news, but I love the fact that he was so gentle about it, so I appreciate that.
Yeah, we haven't seen each other, but you look great. I mean, you look amazing.
Thank you.
She was so sick. You can't believe she couldn't even talk without her oxygen dropping. She couldn't eat without her oxygen dropping, despite being on 100% oxygen. So she was pretty much bound to this bed without being able to do anything on her own. So her lung reserve was pretty much completely gone. And we very well know that she wouldn't be among us now without a lung transplant. And this is a blessing, and I'm so happy for you, Carmen.
Thank you.
It's amazing. It's amazing what happened to you, and this brings the possibility to for our listeners to see that cases can be very mild or asymptomatic to those very devastating ones.
Right.
The whole spectrum of disease that we're still learning about.
Now, Doctor, can you give us a little bit of your expertise on what Carmen had mentioned, that she had developed, besides double pneumonia, but pulmonary fibrosis on both of her lungs? So to those of us that aren't in the medical field or haven't been a patient, can you tell us a little bit about what that does?
What that does is permanent damage to the lungs. Pneumonia on its own can resolve without residual effects. But this is the surprising thing about this virus. It doesn't stop surprising us and leads to sometimes irreversible damage. In which case, the only way to survive is to get a lung transplant, which is a very difficult thing. And again, Carmen was extremely lucky to get lungs and to be among us right now. We're still learning about this virus. We just don't know about the long-term effects. There's so many aspects of the disease. It's just we're going to be learning a lot about the virus in the next few years, and probably longer than that.
Right. Now, are you working at the Ascension St. Francis Hospital? Is that your primary place, or are you at other locations?
St. Francis, but the Select St. Francis. This is a long-term acute care facility, which is sort of a step-down unit when the patient is not ready to be discharged home and still needs a very high level of care. In fact, we're capable of to provide an ICU intensive care unit care. And Carmen was with us for how long? About a month or something like that?
A little bit over a month, yes.
Yes, and so she was so sick and she wasn't improving there. And we made a call to, actually a colleague of mine made a call to University of
UW Health, yes.
And refer her there because we weren't making any progress, and we knew that she wasn't going to make it very long there.
Wow. So you were your team initiated the transfer. Oh, you can't hear me. Your team initiated the transfer of Carmen to UW Health. So you were quite involved with how that went with them. Is that true?
I can't hear.
Oh, no.
Can you hear me, Doctor?
Uh-oh.
I can hear you.
Okay. Hold on.
Doctor, do you mind? Can you log out and come back? Let me just let him. Hold on one second. I'm going to send him a quick note. That's so bizarre. Carmen, do you have his cell phone number?
I do have it.
Do you want to
text it over? Text it over to you.
Actually, okay, yeah, that'd be perfect. Doctor, you still can't hear me? No. Okay. We're going to get him back. I'm not quite sure. All he's going to need to do is log out and log back in.
I can let him know from here if you want.
Yeah. Why don't you do that, Carmen?
Okay.
Because I've got more questions for Doctor. So I'm going to hide him for a second. And I'll hide Carmen too while she's texting him. We have some really good questions that I know Doctor wanted to talk about. So we're going to make sure that he gets back in here. And Doctor, if you can start hearing me while you're here, that's fine. Otherwise, Carmen's going to send him a text to log out. Let's see. This is what happens. Sure. Okay. Carmen's going to take care of him, but some of the things that we're going to talk about when we get Carmen back on and the doctor is this experience of transferring to UW Health for the double lung transplant. And what is so important about that is this was the first double lung transplant in the state of Wisconsin. And Carmen has a really, really long road ahead of her, but the doctor has some great insight on how we can make sure. Okay, he's back, so hold on. Let's see if he can hear me. Oh, man. Hold on a second. Let's see. Oops. Hold on. Sorry, guys. Carmen, you're still with me, right? Okay, hold on. I'm gonna bring you in, and if he joins us again, we'll make it work. I will get a notification. So thank you for calling him. Okay, Carmen, we are moving on to your transfer to UW Health. And this was in Madison and where you went for your double lung transplant. Now tell me, when you went there, did you know you were going to get the transplant, or did you go needing to wait to see what would happen?
So when they transferred me, or they took me to UW Health, what they did was to take me and prepare. So they did a procedure, it's called an ECMO, which would help me, give me basically a little extra time while they worked with the donor board directors to see if I qualified to get on the list. And I was told that, yes, I was going to get on the list, but I was number 40. They go by numbers. The higher the number, the shorter time you would wait. And I would have to, at that time, they said it could be maybe a month to 6 weeks before we come up with with something. And I was, really shocked. A week later, they said we got the lungs and we're going in for surgery. So
Wow.
it was really a quick decision, and they took it. And UW Health, this is the first time that they have done a double transplant related to COVID. And I guess I happen to be the one person in Wisconsin that had to go through that also.
Wow, unbelievable. Doctor, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Okay, yes, thank you so much.
Okay.
Thank you. So I know that Dr. Ludmill, we wanted to talk about how, especially recently, COVID really is hitting the younger adult population more than we expected. Is that correct?
Yes, it is correct. And one of the reasons is that it's very likely a younger person to be asymptomatic and to spread the virus around without even knowing it. Again, we also see a lot of younger patients which can get very sick. So being a young person doesn't give you a license to go out there and being irresponsible. You can still get very sick and you can die.
Right. And you also stress the importance of following trustworthy scientific guidelines for prevention. What would you tell our viewers are the most important things as we stand yesterday having these record-breaking death rate? What would you want people to know?
As of right now, we don't have a good established treatment for COVID. So the only thing we're left with is prevention and keeping distance, wearing a mask, stay 6 feet away from people around you, avoid crowded spaces, don't touch your face, all these things that are common sense and everybody knows about, but a lot of people just choose to ignore and not follow the guidelines. And another thing that I would like to share with our audience is to not to just go random Google symptoms of COVID or prevention. Just go to CDC website, Mayo Clinic, WHO sites. I'm just looking at the CDC website is wonderful. It can tell you anything you need to know. All the frequently asked questions are there. Just don't listen to everything that people are saying on the internet. It's just a lot of people just looking for sensation and conspiracy theories, and it's just too much disinformation out there.
Right. So definitely not to be distracted by what's happening in the cyberspace in terms of what you call the noise of cyberspace, but to pay attention to that CDC website. And one of the things we're hearing a lot about, Doctor, too, is that right now hospitals are reaching, their limits. The frontline workers have been at this for months and months, and there's still months to go. They're tired. They're exhausted. Many of them themselves are away from their families. What are you seeing in your circle of team members? How are people doing on the front lines?
Well, people are struggling, of course, and one of the worst things about this pandemic is that it overwhelms the capacity of the healthcare system and doesn't only affect the people who are getting infected with COVID, but many other patients who need care. These ICU beds, they're not infinite. Once the capacity is overwhelmed, you can imagine all the people with other medical conditions that are suffering greatly from this pandemic. It's just like a chain reaction, like a vicious cycle. And that's the problem with it. So once the certain capacity is overwhelmed, it's very bad. That's what we're reaching right now.
Right. And as we're looking to many people celebrating Christmas and New Year's coming up, we just passed Thanksgiving. What is your expectation for the upcoming holidays? I'm assuming that the outlook is probably we just got to follow these guidelines to be safe, to be distant, to be masked, to stay within our immediate family and households. For a little bit more until not only the vaccine is out, which is hopeful, but that vaccinations start happening. Is that what you're going to be suggesting?
Yes, absolutely. And we're only 1 week out from Thanksgiving. So in about 2 weeks, we'll know the real impact of all the family gatherings and everything. But we expect the numbers to go up. The same with Christmas holiday time. I expect next 2-3 months to be really bad before things start getting better. Again, what we're left with right now is just prevention. Just stay away from other people, avoid crowded spaces, put your mask over your mouth and over your nose. Don't leave your nose out of the mask. That doesn't do anything good. So I've seen a lot of people doing that. Of course, vaccine. I think the vaccine is what is going to terminate this pandemic. Unfortunately, a lot of people who don't like masks, they're the same people who wouldn't take the vaccine, and we're going to have problems with that even if vaccine is widely available down the road. We're talking about probably half a year from now.
That's a good point too. Now, for a patient like Carmen, and it was so neat for you to express how happy you were to see her looking good
Yes.
and to
Yes.
be at home. What is a patient like Carmen at this point on her journey? What does she have to be careful of? Is she pretty much, and I'll ask her this too in a minute, but hunkered down at home and need to be very, very, very sensitive to things, or what is it like for someone like her?
Well, in her case, she has to be very, very careful not to contract the virus again. She's obviously on immunosuppression therapy, and another infection will be, very devastating. So she needs to stay away from people. She's very, very cautious. I told her that over the phone. But the amazing thing, what happened with her is just not being able to talk. And when I called her last time, she was walking around the block in Madison. I mean, just couldn't believe. I mean, it was so amazing.
And how does
without those nasal prongs? I mean, I never seen her without oxygen. I mean, just looking at a totally normal person. That's a miracle what happened to her.
Wow. So, Carmen, doctor just said it's a miracle what happened to you. Is that how you feel?
That's exactly how I feel. I know that there's a purpose for me to be here, and I think it made big, huge sense. I think the motivation from the nurses and the doctors really helped me out. It was so difficult for me to be in there by myself. It was scary, throughout the whole entire process. And they became my family while I was there. So I appreciate all of them. I saw Dr. Lazarov almost every day. He would come and check up on me, and I could tell, when something was not right, because he would come in kind of serious. But I'm really happy, and I appreciate the honesty.
I was really concerned about you, seriously.
Yeah.
And I have to tell you that, I mean, the things weren't going very well.
Right.
You knew it. You knew it deep inside that you were making much progress. And
That's right.
The only solution was the lung transplant, and luckily for you.
Now, doctor,
yes.
Did you have contact with Carmen's family members as well? How does that work when someone like Carmen is in such severe condition?
It's very difficult for any hospitalized patient nowadays. It's not only for COVID patients, because we do not allow visitors, not only for patients who are COVID survivors, but for any other person, because virtually anyone can bring COVID to the hospital. That will have a devastating effect on the very vulnerable population. So some people are coping very difficult with that, and a lot of times we do Zoom meetings and talk with family members, but it's tough when they don't see their relatives and loved ones in person. It's not the same. It's just not the same.
And doctor, in these situations, is it difficult, I can imagine, for doctors and nurses like you to really, draw the line of your compassion and taking care of somebody? And, I can just imagine how your mind and your heart are sometimes aligned and sometimes conflicted. Is that a challenge for you in this situation with a patient like Carmen?
Of course, it's a challenge. It's very difficult to strike a balance between telling the patient what exactly is happening, at the same time don't kill the hope. It's a very fine line, and every patient is different.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very difficult to strike that balance. My first priority is to not give false hopes to the patients. That's my first priority. A lot of times they come to us and they have unrealistic expectations, and that makes things more difficult for everyone.
Carmen, before we let Doctor go and continue on with some more of your story, is there anything that you would love to say to him now that you see each other besides texting or on the phone?
He, as well as all the nurses from the select area, they're very special to me, and I appreciate you very much because I know you gave it all you had, and you believed in me. You kept telling me everything's going to be fine, even though we both knew it wasn't. But those kind words always made me push it. So the work that you guys do is amazing, and I really appreciate you guys as a family. So when this is done and over with, we got to go and celebrate it. All the nurses and everything.
We will.
So
you know that we will definitely do that.
that's
We'll
right.
invite David.
And Doctor,
We'll have David.
yes, I want to come. And Doctor,
That's right.
I can guarantee you, Carmen knows how to have a good time. So,
I can tell.
Well, thank you, though. I really do appreciate everything that you did while I was there. I need to go and see the girls too. I mean, they became my family while I was in that area, and it was fun because Jen was always running back and forth. Every time my oxygen dropped, she will fly over to my office, to my room to see, what are you doing? And I'm like, I'm okay. I just got up to go to the restroom, and she would just fly. So it makes a big, huge difference. So thank you.
But you were a great patient too. I mean, you stayed so positive all the time, and you never made life difficult. I mean, never. She was amazing. She was special.
Thank you. Thank you.
and I think that it is so. And there's Carmen giving the thumbs up in a dire situation. But as I don't want to minimize, but as in a situation like this, there is definitely something to be said for the people surrounding the patient, giving them some sense of hope and love and compassion, that a person like Carmen, who has the spirit to naturally want to be a fighter and a warrior, with that little bit of encouragement, even in the worst situation, those people are able to push harder than they would if they didn't have people like you around. So we are very, very grateful. And a lot of families beyond Carmen's are grateful for you and all the other doctors, frontline workers. I just can't imagine what you all go through. And I'm happy that you took the time to be with us today. And I am going to be there for the celebration.
Yes, you will be.
You're invited. Yes.
Doctor, thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Take good care.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye.
So great. Carmen, I am so happy that worked out, because I know it was special to you, but it was very important, the things that he had to say as well.
Yes, he does. Yes, he did.
So one of the things that I wanted to share with viewers too, you had put a Facebook post during this time, and this was October 24th. And you said, thank you. I finally had the opportunity to get my Facebook up. We could tell you're back. And it's overwhelming. I have a brand new pair of lungs. They seem to be working, and I'm breathing on my own. That is huge. I've already been up on a recliner, and I've been up and walking around, but I want to take the opportunity to say, wow. That is all I can say. There are no words for me to say or to describe how grateful I am with everyone. What you're doing for me would never be forgotten. Yeah. And I know now that I have a lot of friends in my community. You go on to say, I've always known that this just reconfirms. So I'm going to get better, to get out of here, and I'm going to do what I love to do, to keep giving back to my community. I promise I will see you all soon. I love every single one of you.
That's right. That was right after that was right after they, I think I even had the tube still on, but I was able to grab my phone and do the community, the family, they all came together and they showed a lot of love for me. So I felt the need to thank everyone. And I'm sure that there's a lot more that I missed. I know that I had people from Florida, I had messages from Italy, from Spain. There was people just from all over Ireland. I had somebody that texted me and donated to the go-to fund from Ireland. And it's amazing because when I do something, I do it because I love to do it, not to get anything in return. And
Right.
it's overwhelming to see what they did for me.
And you mentioned the GoFundMe page, which of course there's a lot of medical bills that you are dealing with and will be moving forward. I think last time I checked, it was close to about 35,000, but that was last week. So hopefully it is a little bit more. But that was set up by Milwaukee's Latino community, right?
So one of my sponsors from Landmark Credit Union, he knows me very well. So they did this without me knowing until they had it all set up. Then they said that they set up a GoFund. There was 3 people involved with that. It was Don Cohen, which I have to thank. I think Victor and Cecil, all 3 of them got together and put this stuff all together for me. And then the community all joined in. They did fundraisers. They did. There was a young lady by the name of Cristela Juarez and her daughter that they went out of the way to do all this stuff. My brother, the owner of the restaurant Sabor Tropical, which is Jesse. I mean, there's so many people that if I was to start thinking, I would never end. But those funds have come handy because I'm currently not personally working. So it's a long road ahead of me. And it just comes to say how much you have out there in the community. And I've known all along that I have friends, but I didn't realize how many of them were there. And I love every single one of them. Every single one of them.
And we're happy from a community standpoint that you can feel the love because, people that knew you before, met you during this process and have seen your story since definitely want to make sure that you feel everyone's arms virtually wrapped around you. So we're happy you can feel that. I wanted to talk to you also about after you received this transplant, which were there any real hiccups or did it go fairly smoothly, the recovery?
So the surgery took about 12 hours. And I recall when they were taking me into the operation room that my surgeon, Dr. McCarty, said to me, everything is going to be fine. And I remember just looking at him and saying, in God's hands, and we'll see. 12 hours later, I kind of woke up a little bit after that, woke up to being in bed, and I actually opened my eyes. So I'm like, am I really here or am I not? But it was the greatest feeling ever. In the day that they took that tube off my mouth, that I was able to take that first breath, like on my own, I couldn't stop crying. Because ever since then, at 98% on my breathing, 98, 99, and that to me is amazing. I don't need oxygen anymore hanging from my nose.
Wow, that's so inspiring. And you did decide to try to get in touch with your donor's family. And I know that you had posted a letter a screenshot of when you were submitting your letter. What is that process like? And have you heard anything since?
So the organ center is the one that, they said, if you want to write them a letter, you got to send it in and we will make sure they get it. It is entirely up to the donors whether or not they want to reach out back to me. I haven't heard anything, but I understand that they're grieving also.
Right.
My goal is to be able to say, while you're grieving, I want you to know that your lungs were given to someone who cares for the community. And I love for them to get to know me because these lungs will be well taken care of. And it's their part of them, which will probably help with the grieving process. But the letter is out there. I'm just crossing my fingers, hoping that they get back to me, because I would love to meet them. They gave me a second chance of life, and I'm here because of that transplant. Yeah.
Wow. I mean, that is just unbelievable to even just imagine writing that letter and hoping for the best. What were some, like, one or two other things that you made sure to put in that letter?
Specifically, thanking them with all my heart, and, asking them to give me the opportunity to show them who I am, so that they can, move forward. I know it's really hard losing a loved one, but they can hear my lungs, going, and I think sometimes that will make a big difference. So it's just a great feeling. In my opinion, I would love to meet them, but it may take.
That's so great. And I'm a little naive when it comes to this, but I'm assuming that, whoever the lungs came from, like you said, they're in a grieving, their family's grieving, because it must have been something that was pretty immediate. Like, you got the lungs from that person quickly after they had a tragedy or something happened.
Right.
So like you said, it might take a while, because they're going through a hard time right now of their own grieving process. And I can't wait for you, because I do feel really good about this chance you're going to have one day, who knows when, to meet them. And I think for everybody, it's going to be a lot of exciting feelings.
I think it's going to be very emotional, and I would, I would love to be able to be part of that process. It'll be great to, to make sure that they know this is what I do, this is how I work, and hopefully they will get the whole, let's go and do this together, because I am so grateful to them for doing what they did. And that's something that I would not forget. In fact, my mom she's very religious, and she does a rosary every night for that family, every night, just to make sure, that they're blessed. And I appreciate that also.
That's so great. Now, this is kind of funny, because I did see you one morning on Who I Call the Other David, and was a little bit jealous of this. You and Mr. David from CBS. I was like, hey, Carmen, there you go.
I've been all over. It's been really crazy, but he was really kind, and I appreciated his questions and giving me that time. I have to thank Mario, because I remember telling Mario, I don't have the strength to deal with the media. Would you be so kind as to follow through with that? And he became like my media person. Like, he was set up appointments and all of that, and follow through. So he's hired, by the way.
Yeah. Well, I will say that we all appreciate it, because, like you did say in a Facebook post too, that, none of the talking that you're doing or connecting with people that you're doing is for your own personal attention. And it's clear you want people to be informed. You want people to realize the scope of what this pandemic and COVID-19, the coronavirus, can do to people, to families. You really had no pre-existing conditions. You had stopped smoking, for many years before.
I stopped smoking. So there was no issues like that with my lungs at all throughout the process. It was really difficult, David, because for someone that is up and running and going, to try to get up and take 2 steps and feel like you ran a marathon, that was really difficult for me. I was really down. But you know what? It's really important that you maintain that faith, because if you don't, you're easily able to give up. And I felt a couple of times while I was in ICU, I kept telling one of my nurses, who I call my little guardian angel, her name is Tammy, I kept saying, I can't do this anymore. I'm just tired. So what she did is she went and wrote this little message that said, you're stronger than you think you are. Don't give up. And I focus on that every day that I was there. And it's still here in my head. So whenever I get really tired, I'm like, okay, I'm stronger than I think I am, not giving up. You find those motivations in the whole entire community. I mean, I was blasted with messages and they were all positive. One or two negative, but I don't pay attention to that.
No.
It was more of, I gotta fight because I have a lot more to do out there. And this is where I'm at.
Yeah, and I'm so grateful for that. And I'm going to show viewers this video. There's not going to be any audio to it, but I just want you, as we're looking at this, as you're leaving UW Health, this is a video from them. What was this moment like for you?
Oh my God, I got so emotional. I got so emotional because they made sure that I was up and walking. That's my surgeon, Dr. McCarty, right there. He's the one that made this happen. And I got really emotional leaving. I mean, I was looking forward to leave after 4 months, but it was like they were all there for me. And it was a great feeling to be able to leave and walk out of there.
Oh my gosh. And like you said, and walk out of there. And when you did, who was waiting for you?
So my husband, my brother, my mom were there waiting for me. And it was to get up and walk out. And I remember, even though I had the mask, the wind, I'm like, you know, I'm taking a breath in, like, oh my God, it's been 4 months. I haven't done this. I didn't think I was ever going to be able to do that. To tell you the truth, I didn't think I was ever going to make it out of there. But,
wow, Carmen.
You know, I worked so hard. I was tired, but I made it a point to follow directions and to keep going. Dr. McCarty said to me, you know, there's nothing else. You're ready to go. And you're way in advance, he said. You know, other patients with just one transplant is here even longer. But I would get up they will get me up at 4:30 in the morning to do x-rays. And at 6 o'clock, I was in the recliner and I wanted to kind of get up and move. And that motivated me. I just think people need to understand that that virus is no joke. You're lucky. If you get mild symptoms, you're very lucky. But
yes, and you did. You said, Carmen.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. I wanted to let viewers know one thing that you said on October 17th. Well, first I want to tell you, you know, part of that, I'm sure there's no standing in between your mom and that rosary.
Yeah, there is.
So I'm sure that kind of pushed you off the recliner a little bit too.
Yes.
But on October 17th, you did write something. If you think this virus is a simple flu or that it's not as bad as it seems to be, listen to my story and carefully listen to my story, and you will learn the struggle. So that is really important to point out. Your husband said, and we saw him giving you a hug with your, I think Mario was in this photo too. And he said to a journalist, I just want to hold her. It's been a long while being without her. I mean, we used to do everything together. I missed her.
You know, it was 4 months, and it was just not him. It was also my mom, my brothers. They have, you know, I had no way to be able to connect with them over the phone. And it was really important that when I walked out of there, and I'm sure a lot of other people would have gone, but it was later and later in the day. So I appreciated everything.
And what you just said was so interesting to me, and it's so true. But you had said you walked out of there, and you probably didn't anticipate this, but that breath of fresh air that you said for 4 months, you've only been getting air from machines or inside of hospital settings.
That's
so
right.
I bet you will never forget what that first gust of fresh air felt like.
That is correct. I was so happy to be able to do that. And I appreciated every single time I took a deep breath.
Yeah.
I would just like, oh my God, I'm doing this on my own. It's not, I don't have machines on me. It is a difficult process, David. And
Yeah.
I know some people would think, why is she doing this? All I want to do is advocate. I want to educate the community. Me as Latina, we as Latinos, we have our culture that said that's not going to happen to us. Well, it is going to happen if you don't take care of yourself. And I think the only way this pandemic is going to end is by all of us coming together. And it's inconvenient to wear your mask, I know, but I'd rather be at a holiday social with my family down the line than be in the hospital. The sacrifices you have to make, it would be for a little bit. I mean, let's come together, let's do the right thing. And then once this is done and over with, we can get back to our semi-normal, because I don't think we'll ever go back to the normals that we were used to. But it would be great. And I know that there's a lot more Latinos in the community that are getting sick and they are afraid. I've heard people say, oh my God, they stick something that goes all the way to your brain. That's not true. That test is very simple, very quick, and it is not true that it damages your brain, please. That's what I've heard that several times. And when I see somebody without a mask, I'm like, where's your mask? Put it
Yeah.
on. If it's someone that I know, it's just important that people
Right.
know this is no joke.
It's no joke. And one of the other things you've said related to that is, and please, let's be sensitive to others. And I think that's true. We got to do what is sensitive. Before we wrap up, Carmen, this has been so delightful. I know it was a struggle to work through some of the technical things, but I'm glad we did, because it's been super important. And having the doctor join us too was just a treat. One of the things that you said, and this is something that I have kind of written down, because it's something that I will hold on to along with some of the other things you told us today. But you said it was a rough journey, but a great ending.
Yeah.
And I just wish you so much continued health and success. And I know you've got a good support system. Count me in as a community supporter who is cheering you on from a distance. But I can only imagine how you're feeling this holiday season. We're coming up on Christmas, and what you are feeling, there's so much to be thankful for indeed. I can only imagine.
That's right. And the sacrifices you make with everybody being home for the holidays, at the end of the day, is going to pay off. I just think, people don't realize that you could be a carrier and not know it. And then what about your mom, your dad? What about your grandparents? They would react to a different, look at me. I mean, who would have ever known 6 months ago that I was going to be sitting here with double transplant on my lungs? And I take, just so people know how bad this been, and I know we got to wrap up, 31 pills in the morning alone. 31. I have to stay away from water in the lake. I can't go and have a cat because of the bacteria. I can't do even a fish tank or even get fresh flowers, because anything that has mold, that has bacteria, that could cause my body to reject the lungs, I have to stay away from. So the 31 pills in the morning, and then throughout the whole entire day. And I'm learning to walk. My muscles are really sore. It's really a hard process. And this is going to go off for a year before they say, okay, you're fully recovered. Now you can get back to your normals. I'm grateful to be here. I'm blessed for the second chance in life. And, I'm coming back with all I have in a different way, I think, but I'm coming back soon.
Yeah. Yes. And we can see it. And, like you said, in a different way. But you know what? I think that is what is going to be so special about everything that has transpired, is that you're paying attention, you're realizing what's difficult, you're realizing who's here for you, and you are just actually, it seems, looking forward to something different, a different you in a certain way, with a lot of that same spunk and heart and soul that everybody knew you for and loves. And that is going to be the best combination of two things in a brand new Carmen.
That's right. And look out, because I'm coming with everything I have. I got this.
That you do have this, and I know, and you heard it here, people. Watch out, because she's coming with everything that she has.
Yeah.
And last thing I wanted to ask you, you were talking about the pills in your daily routine. How often do you have to see the doctor now? Pretty regularly.
Every week. So I'm driving from Milwaukee to Madison every week on Mondays, sometimes twice a week, depending on testings. And there's a big, huge test that they have to do every couple of weeks. Is a bronchoscopy, which they manage. They go through to make sure that the lungs are functioning correctly and that there is no issues. So a lot of stuff going on, and it would be a long road ahead, and I got to prepare for that. But again, I'm blessed to be here. Those are little things.
Okay.
I was going to show you. I mean, these are, I don't know if you see it. Let me see.
Let me put it up.
Pretty much bruises, and that's how my arms are. That's how my whole body on the bottom where the surgery is. And I have to draw blood every week to be able to make sure that there's no infections or anything. So.
Right. So you need the prayers to continue. You need the support to keep on coming, because like you said, the journey continues. You're off to a good start, but it's a long road ahead. And, obviously you have people here for you. And one last thing I'm just curious about, this is like one of my favorite Barbara Walters questions. She used to finish her interviews and so let me know what you think to finish this off. Carmen Lerma is?
Loving, if I'm going to be describing myself, passionate, human. I think that the amount of love that I have to give to everyone, it's immense, and I'm humble. I'm humble and grateful for everything that has been done for me.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, I appreciate you joining me and sharing this story. I've been looking forward to this for many weeks, and just to see you, I think it gives people some real hope and inspiration. And I hope that it also wakes some people up and makes sure that they realize, what, you can look at numbers, you can look at percentages, you can think one way or think a different way, or maybe not agree with your neighbor. But when you see real life examples of somebody who has been through it and struggled to get through it and has a family and friends around them that wants to be a part of your life moving forward, it is key to listen. So Carmen, my friend, thank you so much. And I'm going to be there for that party. So make sure you invite me.
I will make sure you're involved in it. Thank you so much. And thanks to everybody that's listening. I know that, it's really important. Advocating for each other is one of the biggest thing you can do to end this pandemic. So if you see someone that's not doing what they're supposed to, kindly just say, hey, if you don't care for yourself, care for me. Put your mask on. So thank you so much again for letting me come around.
Absolutely. You look beautiful. I'm glad you're doing well. And I wish you the best. If you need anything, make sure you reach out. It was so great to chat with you today, Carmen.
I appreciate that. Thanks.
Take good care.
Thank you.
Wow. I am so happy that you all hung in there with us. It was such an important conversation, both with the doctor and Carmen. So thank you, thank you. I knew we went a little long today because of some of the hiccups at the beginning, but I really appreciate everyone's time joining us on DC Live. Make sure this is such an important conversation that you share it, like it, and make sure that your friends and family see it. Support Carmen however you can. Make sure that you get in touch with her GoFundMe page. And as you can imagine, anything is helpful at this time, especially during the holidays. I will be back next week, December 9th, for a very special DC Live. I will be making an announcement on Facebook with 2 very special guests coming up. Same place, Events by DC on Facebook next Wednesday, December 9th. Wow, already December 9th. Make sure to check out stylebydc.com. And I am grateful to everyone for watching. Enjoy the rest of your day, and we will see you again very, very soon. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.